What music were you listening to at the time the Shapes formed?
I was in Yes and Genesis.
John
Robin.
Martin.
I was going to say reggae for a minute.
Nothing wrong with a bit of
Bob
Pete
Marley.
Gabriel's Genesis.
Do a bit of Bob Marley.
Yeah.
Well, we were just,
But that's
personally
just me.
speaking, it was just all the punk that was flooding in, that, you know, Pistols and Clash, and especially Susie and the Banshees, and that was my soundtrack. I mean, coming from Bowie and glam and stuff, and then suddenly the punk thing hit, so that was all I was listening to, was punk.
And all I was listening to was his records.
Yeah, borrowing them.
Yeah.
So all of those classic bands, and as time went on, there were more and more, there was more and more stuff to listen to.
I think it's actually an interesting question, because with punk there's a sort of year zero type of mentality for some people, as if nothing existed before it.
That's not the
There were bands that, you know, I mean, I liked all sorts of things, from Hendrix to whatever, but I did like David Bowie, and I did like Alex Harvey a lot.
Brilliant.
And Alex Harvey had a
Yeah.
punky sort of irreverence,
Yeah.
which I think I latched onto. There are other bands that people sort of, you know, like Roxy Music was sort of okay. There's some
Yeah,
bands you're not supposed to like from the past, but
Well, good in the beginning, this went off, didn't they? This went to
Rock
soft rock
music.
music, yeah.
Oh, they were one of my,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, when I was 72, so I was obsessed with Roxy Music.
Yeah.
And the first live band I ever went to see, the Birmingham Odeon, I was like 14 years old with Parker. Not a good one either, but so excited. And that got me into live music, you know, actually seeing these people, because, you know, you grow up in these provincial areas, they're almost, you don't actually believe they're actual people, you know, they don't exist to you, because you only see them occasionally on Top of the Pop and, you know, Record Mirror. And so to actually see it, that was when I started realising that this could be something I could get very interested in, rather than just, you know, just as a consumer, you know, have a go at it. And that was the start of many, many crappy bands, you know.
What about the American bands that sort of, you know, American punk that influenced guys like Patti Smith, the Remains, people like that?
Well, Patti Smith never influenced. She only influenced me to be wholly never to go see Patti Smith. I mean, it's
Don't sit on a fence, She loves you.
and then, living in America right now.
She did play Leamington not so long
One of the things that really peeling me off
Yeah,
right
she did
now
a
is,
tour
yeah,
a couple of years
the
ago.
Americans are sort of taking credit for punk right now, even as I speak, and it's driving me mad. You know, all these English kids, yeah, the Ramones came over and they were a big Kickstarter, but, you know, thank you very much, you showed us how to do it, and we did quite well on our own.
yeah. The thing that, my memory of it was the Sex Pistols were the driving force.
Yeah.
They, even
They
now,
got the oxygen.
I read stuff they say the Pistols were like a concoction of Malcolm McLaren, not a real band, and then the Clash and blah blah. But my personal memory was that it was the Sex Pistols that were the driving force, and everyone else was clinging onto their coattails, if you like.
Yes,
Even the Clash and bands like that, they damned, it was the Pistols. But also bands like, who are like everybody knows now, like the Velvet Underground, because I was a big Lou Reed fan. And through Lou Reed, I liked Velvet Underground. This is like 1975, so it's pre-punk. I was the only person who had a Velvet Underground album, and the only person who'd heard of it. Whereas now, everybody's heard of it.
Yeah,
So
we talked
history
about
is constantly being rewritten, as if there was this continuum from like the Velvet Underground to the present day. Well, it wasn't like that at all, not if you lived through it. Even the Stooges, you know, big name, raw power, it's just a fantastic album. I never heard it. I heard of it. I never saw it in a record shop until after the event. You know, they didn't.
Yeah.
They influenced afterwards. They didn't sort of. It wasn't like they were big and then all these bands followed after them. They were sort of quite obscure. Now they're bigger. The Velvet Underground, like, everyone knows them.
Yeah.
Not then they did.
Well, yeah, there was a certain amount of revision in it, but for me, I remember from 76 through to 79, the most exciting thing about punk was that people were just inventing it out of whole cloth in the bedrooms. You know, I mean, they didn't really have much of an influence. They bought a crappy guitar from Woolworths, which I actually had one of those. They were just inventing it completely out of whole cloth and having to sort of create the building blocks of it themselves. You know, had bands like The Worst up in Manchester, bands like that, the Desperate Bicycles, and you know, you can't really draw a direct line from those bands to anything. They'd just sort of like seen something that was happening and they caught up in the energy of it and they were just trying to express that energy. So, you know, pretty much all of these bands flamed out almost instantly, but they left behind these old testaments, you know, one or two little singles off on independent labels, and they're always worth listening to.
But I think what happened with the Shapes, we were all also brought up with Monty Python and stuff, and I think that there is a lot of humour in what we do because we've grown up with this we don't care attitude of punk, and by the time we got our platform, we were we were writing songs about seeing Batman in a laundrette and baked beans and getting married to a Martian and stuff. And that was sort of partly to do with Brazillos, who'd sort of opened up that, the Gareth liked to
Really
imagine.
great man.
So we didn't do the punk attitude thing. It had gone already in that critical year. So actually there seemed to be this movement of bands like Splodgeness Abounds and...
Yeah, we sort of came in between all of that, didn't we? I mean, we weren't ever part of that, so it always used to annoy me when somebody created Punk Pathetique and tried to sort of backfill us into it. It's got nothing to do with us, really.
There's sort of people like Jilted John around, and they're just...
Johnny Moped.
Johnny Moped. There just seemed to be a bit of space for daftness, and I think that's a lot of what we did was a bit daft. It wasn't political.
Totally tongue in cheek, and actually that's sort of bring. I'm not going to go to the conclusion, but that's when we stopped, when everything got a little bit too serious, and we go to places like Orange and Landers and there'd be loads of skinheads there, angry people,
It
just being angry for
changed.
no reason at all. I mean, there's like a lot of young people who are now the older people sitting in bus shelters with the white side, and they're just angry.
Well,
Angry people.
It went
And that
from
wasn't-
being-
Angry old man and
wasn't
smoking
something.
angry
It went from being let's go out and see a band tonight, or let's go out and punch a band tonight.
Yeah.
It was basically that.